for future generations of airmen as we continue to fly, fight, and win. Take a moment to congratulate all of our Squadron Honor graduates as well as their families. Basic Military Training Honor graduates distinguished themselves by being ranked in the top 10% of all airmen graduating in their class. The exceptional personal dedication, integrity, service before self, and sustained excellence these airmen display throughout basic military training earned them this outstanding distinction. As the airmen march forward for the oath of enlistment, we would like to thank the families and friends who are here in support of the airmen graduating today. Your words of encouragement help motivate these airmen through 7.5 weeks of basic military training. On behalf of the United States Air Force and Air Force Basic Military Training, we extend our thanks to the many families and friends of America's airmen for the support of your airmen and the greatest air power the world has ever known. Colonel Carruthers will now come forward and address our graduated airmen.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
I tell you what, today is a day of special celebration. Today we get to celebrate 694 instances of amazing that have selflessly dedicated themselves to a better version of not only themselves, but a better version of America. And for that, let's give them a round of applause. And so before I get into my personal remarks to these graduating airmen that bring us here today, I'd be remiss if I didn't offer a few thank yous to start the day. So let me start with the friends, family, and loved ones here today to celebrate their success. The journey that has brought them here, you created this. You gave us that material to start with. You gave us and shared the nation's treasure so that we could refine and retune and generate that next generation of warrior airmen. Thank you for entrusting them with us, and I promise you, we will continue to take good care of them as they serve this nation going forward. And to our veterans in the audience, if you can, would you please stand up? I got to tell you what, our Air Force, our entire Department of on the shoulders of giants represented by the veterans here today, those that they have served with, and those that certainly they represented going forward. These folks here today are an extension of the long blue line that you have supported and defended. So thank you very much for all that you have done for our nation. And let me provide a special thank you to our NTI Corps. These folks proudly rocking that dark blue campaign hat. They are entrusted with taking your treasure, that nation's treasure, and refining and molding and creating that next generation of warrior airmen. They take that mantle of responsibility dear to their hearts. Their standard of excellence is a standard above all. They are appropriately drawn from the best of our entire Air Force, from both NCOs and the Senior NCO Corps. And I'm telling you, they get after it every day. And if you ever wonder about it, just look at this and tell me that they're getting it wrong. Please give it up for our NTI Corps. And now for our graduating airmen. So first, let me say thank you as well as congratulations. Thank you for joining a force dedicated to lifting, adding a little light in a world that is increasingly uncertain. What you have signed up to do and to serve will necessarily draw upon the most deepest part of your strengths, test your weaknesses, but together we can get after adding more light to this world, making this uncertain world a little less uncertain. When you look at the service you have joined, this Air Force, we provide the oxygen this joint force breathes. We can't do, as a military across this entire Department of Defense, what we do without this Air Force. You need not look any further than the global positioning systems that brought your friends and family here today. So if they use navigation, they use their iPhone, whatever, to find this way, on behalf of the Air Force, let me say, you're welcome. Because that's just a small example of what this Air Force does. So as I give that example, when we talk about bringing lethality to the fight, whether or not that's precision engagement through the air, whether or not that's cyberspace and certainly space superiority, let me tell you, we can do it through all ends of the spectrum. Whether or not that's humanitarian response to our neighbors to the south in Houston, whether or not that's the preparations to support our nation as Hurricane Irma looms for Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. We can get after it for all things when it comes to humanitarian response, both nationally, locally, but certainly as we project power and response across this world stage. But let me tell you, on the other side of that, when we need to go heavy and we need to bring lethality to bear, the Air Force can do that like no other. Whether or not that's air power, bringing global precision strike to bear, whether or not that's nuclear deterrence, or whether or not that's ensuring that we have all the capabilities we need as we get after cyberspace. I'm telling you, when we look at the world today, it is an uncertain world. When you look at Europe and you look at a resurgent Russia and what that means as we support our allies on the European continent. When you look at our watchful presence in the Pacific as we continue to assess the intentions of a rising China. And I'm telling you, as we look at the headlines across the world today, the Air Force stands ready as part of an exquisite suite of options available to deal with a North Korea that continues to flout international standards and norms. You have joined a service dedicated to shining a light across this world that may seem dark. Your mission is to be that light, to where the world looks a little darker, the world looks a little dimmer. Your service will bring light. And so for that, I thank you. We are going to demand a lot of you as we get after making this uncertain world a safer place to be, not only for our nation, but again, as a better version of this world. There are so many that want that from this nation and that need that across this world. But I'm telling you, there are far too few that are willing to have the courage to stand up and say, send me. And you have done that. So today is the day we celebrate your commitment. So against that backdrop, I have one question for you. Are you ready to join the world's greatest Air Force? All right, let me own one thing. I owe you an oath of enlistment that I left right over here, so style points let me bring that back so I can do this the right way. Be good. So, let's do this the right way.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Colonel Carruthers will now administer the oath of enlistment.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to the regulations and Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. Congratulations, Airmen, and welcome to the world's greatest Air Force.